Hari Om, so good to see all of you. Last time we met, we looked at two more shlokas in chapter 6 of Gita, where we looked at nature of this mind is to grow slowly. If I'm expecting that I'm going to make this mind calm overnight just because I want it to happen, I'm in for a rude surprise. Just like a child that grows, I have to be very patient with this mind. Give myself the benefit of the doubt when it wanders and when it craves certain things and when it falls for temptations. At the same time, still holding it accountable, where I'm not completely letting it go consequence-free for any kind of indiscipline. So literally like raising a child. That's what it is. Now, when dealing with this childlike mind, the next couple of shlokas that we explore make that connection between making this calm mind and how that translates to knowing this highest truth. It's easy when we slog through several shlokas every single week to miss the trees for the forest, or the forest for the trees, whatever the saying is. Where we focus on, okay, the mind, the mind, the mind. Calming the mind gives me this benefit, gives me that benefit. The ultimate benefit of calming this mind is it's the pathway to moksha. I can never forget that. Because I will stop striving to get better the moment I find myself content and complacent with where I am. This happens when we have certain desires. I was interning at a company before I became a brahmachari. There were people that were working at that company in the same role for like 20 or 30 years. And that just blew my mind. I was there, a 22-year-old college graduate, and I'm like, oh my God, I gotta make something, be something, rise, everything. I'm like, how do you sit the same position doing the same thing for 32 years like this? And they were like, look, it puts food on the table, keeps our families happy, keeps us happy. There's great security in this role. We know we're not gonna get fired. We know the role well. We're fine where we are. At that age, that didn't make sense to me. It still doesn't truly make sense to me. Like, I don't think it makes sense to you guys as well, that kind of idea. But if we get complacent in a certain place and say, okay, we're fine where we are, I'm comfortable, I'd rather be here rather than go into that unknown, no matter what consequences lie ahead, we just stop trying to change. Stop trying to evolve. Same thing can happen with my mind. Where I feel this mind is calm enough, this mind, I'm able to think through things well enough to where my relationships are positive and good. The people around me are conducive and I find I'm on good terms with them. Work-wise, I'm able to lock in when I have to. And I'm really able to find that good baseline. That's enough for me, man. Moksha, not really something I need. Now, that's at a basic level of the individual. Would you be surprised if I said, philosophies even function this way? You look at the darshanas within Sanatana Dharma, Sankhya, Yoga, Purva Mimamsa. All of these stop at a certain point where Yoga Darshan says suspending thoughts that come to mind, once you stop that flow of thoughts, that is liberation right there. You're good to go. They consider that their culmination. So different philosophies in function with where are we content with stopping, saying this is the ultimate. Vedanta is that only philosophy that takes me all the way to say it's not just enough to say that I have a calm mind. I have to negate this perfected mind and say I have no mind. That is the culmination of what this knowledge is. Mind is merely an equipment, not what I am. And there are so many logical ways we come to that. That's one thing we'll explore today. Now, what's the shloka that we look at today? Yato yato nischarati manaschancalamassthiram tatas tatto niyam yaitat atmanyeva vasham nayet. Manaschancalamassthiram. This mind is unsteady. Where definitions matter. I keep saying that every single time. I really do mean it today. Why do definitions matter? Because I'll give you a definition and let's see if you can come up with a word. Usually we say a word in definition. I'm going to do it backwards, okay? The definition I'll give you is a disturbance in the mind. A disturbance in the mind. In the chat, put in what the word is for that definition. Don't look it up on Google. Just a disturbance in the mind. What's your answer to that? Take 10 seconds. Chanchalam. Oh, it's an English word. The word's an English word. A distraction, worry, agitation, chaos. Okay, we're going in a certain trend here. The definition being disturbance in the mind. The word is thought. Odiji, what the heck? Thought. We want to take this in a negative way. Thought is a neutral term. My definition was neutral as well. Disturbance, we take it as negative. Disturbance is any time there is a change to the status quo. When the very nature of a thing changes in some way, that is a disturbance. Some externality is introduced to it. You look at a placid lake. In the morning especially, with the vapors rising from it, it's like a sheet. You can see yourself in it so clearly. You drop even a small pebble in there, even that smallest ripple creates a change. That is a disturbance. Just like that, this mind, which is of a placid nature, merely there in suspense with no changes happening to it, the moment a thought is introduced to that mind, that same ripple effect happens. And from there is desires leading to actions, leading to consequences, leading to more thought. This entire domino effect starts right there. So chanchala, disturbance in the mind in the very first place is a thought. Some thoughts keep me positive and grounded. Some thoughts keep me focused, keeping my mind steady. The majority of my thoughts take me in all different directions. That's where I find myself going. Now, to beat myself up for that and be angry and say that, oh, my mind goes in these directions, my mind is terrible, that also is the nature of the mind. No need to beat myself up over it. What's the stages that we go through here in understanding? First is to accept that I have a wandering mind. One of the biggest impediments to all of you really enjoying the sadhana challenge this year, why so many people dropped off, is they feel, whenever I try to do any of these sadhanas, my mind wanders. I'm not fit to do this. Yo, grow up, wake up. Come on, no, that's not the case. The very fact that our minds are like this means we need this sadhana. It's not a question of being unqualified. Everyone's mind is like that. If anyone tells you at any stage, my mind doesn't wander, I have complete control over it, they are full of it. Never believe that. Everyone's mind wanders to some extent. Whether it's distractions, anxieties, all those words you gave for my definition for disturbance, everyone goes through that. No doubt about it. First stage is accepting that my mind wanders. This is the nature of it. It's not the end of the world. It simply is. That's all. Next layer from there. Thoughts will start to slide as well. I sit there trying to remember something and think of something. And then when the mind wanders, can I first try to put it back into place with some sternness? My brother got a dog recently, and it's tough to visit him now after he got that dog. Like, I thought dogs would be, after 6 months, they calm down and they're able to listen to their owners and people. It's not like that. Like, the first time I met that dog, he jumped so high, his paw touched my forehead. It's like he was blessing me. Which, that scared the hell out of me. Because, can you imagine? Like, I'm an animal person. I love dogs. But, like, that was really scary to me. And so every time we go out somewhere and we come back home, the first thing my brother does is open his apartment door and then sniff test right there. Like, did the dog do anything while we were gone? Do I have work to do of cleaning stuff up now? 8 times out of 10, even if we're out for an hour, I don't know if it's anxiety or what, the dog does something there. So it's gotten to the point where first it was like that. A few months later now, if he's trying to chew a remote or jump on the couch when he's not supposed to, If my brother just sternly, hey, no, moves his finger like this, the dog recognizes that sternness and naturally sits down. Even that took months to achieve. And when the moment the owner's out of the house, the dog, it's just not crated. It jumps on the couch, jumps on this, eats that. At least when there's accountability of that sternness even a little bit, it obeys. My mind is the same way. When left to its own devices, it'll do whatever it wants. But when I'm able to sternly say, hey, stop at this moment, does my mind listen to me? Essentially what I'm asking is my mind at the level of a 6-month-old dog at least? Or is it still in that phase where it won't even listen to my own sternness? When the intellect says, hey, not now, that's offsides. Something to ask myself. Second, when even that little bit of sternness does not work and the mind is going in different directions, the next solution is there has to be some containment there. That means straitjacketing the mind sometimes. No other stimuli coming in. Do I have the courage to do that? There will be times when there's a lot of brain drain. You just feel emotionally exhausted. Maybe someone's trauma dumped all over you with their problems. Maybe you saw something that disturbed you. Maybe you're going through something. There are times where this will happen. Now, understanding what my role is. I can't say every time someone comes with their problems that, no, man, I got to take care of myself. No. If it's my role to be a friend or a mentor or a listener or something, I better do that. That's my role. I can't tell my partner that, hey, no, not today. No, you can't really tell me your problems because I'm going through something. If we all did that to each other, I don't want to live in that kind of a world. We have to step up sometimes for other people. At the same time, when there is so much stimuli like this creating agitations in my mind, I need to just cut this mind off sometimes. Cut off all the things coming into it. How is that done? First way that's done is cutting off all those sense entanglements that I have. Put my phone away in a different room and tell myself for the next 2 hours, I'm not going to go inside that room. The world will not end, I promise you. That's the first stimulus to get rid of. No music, no television, nothing. If I can't trust myself to be at home and not engage with these things, go outside at least. Take a walk. Be one with nature. Stimulation from these devices is the first thing that'll really exasperate that. It'll be a temporary distraction, does nothing to help me think, does nothing to settle my mind down. So literally straitjacket the mind from all these other externalities. Once that's done for a little bit, you'll find this mind comes back to its base. Now you see this image right here. A falconer. And they have to wear these gloves or else the talons will shred your arm apart, right? So the falcon will be on a string. It'll go in all these different directions. But at the end, always comes back to that home base, nowhere else to go. My mind is that same way. It can go to all different places. What is that home base that it comes down to, though? That's the crux of Vedantic thought. What is that substratum? What is that source that this mind goes back to? Now, this example, the falcon going around and going on the falconer's arm, that's not my example. That's taken from Chandogya Upanishad. To explain that this mind that is in Chanchala, in that unsteadiness, how it comes back, and it further explains what is that source. Now, to understand what that source is, for me to simply say it's that Atma, that Brahman, that is the source, okay, cool. Intellectually, you know that. What does that mean? More importantly, with this class being so process-oriented, how do I come to that conclusion? What are those thinking patterns I must go to come to it? Let's look at some of those. Prashantamanasam heenam yoginam sukhamuttamam upaiti shantarajasam brahmabhutamakalmasham. To that yogi meaning the one whose mind is steady, no longer chanchala, that supreme bliss comes to that who has become Brahman. Become Brahman? We'll explain what that means later on. But the thing to remember at this point is that mind is at peace. Sukham uttamam. That highest bliss can only come from prashanta manasam. That mind which is placid, calm, serene. Now, there are practices that can be done for that, yes. Whether it's the practice of japa or sustained yogic practices that keep me in that state, yes, that can be there. There's also a layer of understanding that has to happen. Layers of thinking that I need to go through to come to this point of the mind being calm, understanding how that mind is calm. These are called prakriya. Prakriya means process. So Vedanta prakriya are these ways of thinking. Call them exercises in thinking and vichara, and how to come to this point of where does that mind rest. Let's go through a few of them. And some of these will be familiar. You've seen this. If you've been a chick for a few years, you've gone through several of these in different texts. Avasthatraya viveka, where I look at my 3 states of existence, waking, dream, and deep sleep. Through that analysis, I find that even though in the waking and dream states there are varying levels of functionality of the body and the inner instrument, in deep sleep there's no connection with them. In fact, there is no memory of what happened in deep sleep either. Yet I don't pass away when I go to deep sleep. Thank God, I still come back as this person. Therefore, there is something beyond just what is known. The mind goes to that source every time I go to deep sleep. Another prakriya we can look at. Panchakosha viveka. 5 sheets or layers that I find myself in. Like those Russian dolls, one inside of the other, like that, there are more subtle and subtle layers. Annamaya kosha at the basic level, that is this body with sense organs, limbs, and all this tangibility. But they go through changes. They're always growing and diminishing, evolving, devolving. Therefore, that's not some permanent place that I can rest. Same thing with the pranamaya kosha, vital air sheath. This is where all of those, it's more subtle than the body level because this is where all of those processes happen without my deliberation and action. Digestion, assimilation of food to the blood. I don't have to worry about any of this. Breathing, that's all natural. If I had to worry about breathing, going to sleep would be a tough problem. Oh, that is a sleep apnea, right? That is a problem, right? We know that is a problem. When the pranamayas don't function properly and breathing doesn't happen right, even in that time of deep sleep, that is an issue right there. Manomaya kosha, vijnanamaya kosha, mind and intellect, seat of emotions and seat of clarity. Again, these are fleeting seats. Things are constantly in flux. There's no permanent place to rest there. Anandamaya kosha, any happiness I derive from that supreme bliss, sukhamuttamam, like the shloka said, that is trickled into this anandamaya kosha and gets more tangible as actions and desires and everything. Even this state is changing, cannot be me. What is that place of rest for this instrument that goes beyond even anandamaya kosha? That is where that falcon rests. This process helps me understand that. Yet another one. Drik drishya viveka. There are objects of the world I see with my eye. My mind can see what that eye has beholden and makes some memory out of it and recognition. The intellect makes some kind of judgment based on what this mind has seen. These are all changing entities. What is it that sees this intellect and witnesses that in the first place? That is where that falcon rests. That is that source. Mahavakya viveka. We throw around Tattvamasi like it's some kind of chant. It is not. It is a deep, deep, deep statement. Tat, that which is seemingly external, beyond this body, mind, intellect. I go layers, layers, layers deeper into what that is. That is nothing but that substratum, that Brahman. Tvam, you and me, our own layers. We go deeper, deeper, deeper to see what that is. That is nothing but that one substratum. That's how we find this idea of what oneness is. This has been gone through in so many texts in so much detail. The term tat, the term tvam, what is asi, all of that is taken up. Mahavakya Viveka. Sakshi Chaitanya Viveka. Sakshi is that which witnesses. Chaitanya is that eternal consciousness. I witness things with my eyes. I see the world going on around me. Now, just as if a tree falls in the forest and there's no one there to hear it, does it make a sound? Similarly, all of this that is going around, all these happenings, is there an ultimate witness seeing everything? Because our Shastra says there is that Atma, that Brahman as that supreme. The only way you can say that there is something beyond everything that's sense-ridden is anyone even there to see it? Or else you can't say there's something there. Naturally, that has to be my identity then. So going through all of these layers, deeper and deeper into what am I as that witness, that is where that falcon rests. Karana, Karya, Viveka, cause and effect. Anytime I have to make a decision of consequence, I have to go through an understanding of cause and effect. Of how do I go about this? What are all the possible effects? How can things turn out? From the very basic thing of leaving at a certain time to get to a destination, all the way to proposing to your significant other, there can be so many things that can happen that can go right or wrong in this process. Do I account for all of them? That is for this Vyavaharik world transactionally that you and I are a part of. Ultimately thinking, though, as to what is the source, cause and effect are rendered moot. An effect is nothing but a change of a cause. It's not something different, simply is a transformation in some way. When that's the case, is there really such a thing as cause and effect? Think about it. You have a golden ring. You say gold is the cause, the ring is the effect. All right? If you're saying the ring is the effect, it must be different from the gold, right? Actually, no. It's the same composition as that gold, so there's no such thing as an effect. If there's no such thing as an effect, there is no cause. It's like calling a brahmachari a father. There's no way. Therefore, causeness, causehood, isn't really there at all. Where's the question of cause and effect at this point? Can I take that same thinking to this entire creation, logically finding there is no cause and effect, there only is that one reality? That is where the falcon rests. Now, I know I sped through all of these. There are probably like 25 different ways of thinking like this. I presented about 5 or 6 of them. Simply to show that when we talk about the glory of meditation and that practice, this is what it comes down to. It's not just meditation on anything. These are the processes, the prakriyas, the tools that you and I have to go deeper into thinking about these concepts. So when that mind is wandering and we want to have some kind of spiritual progress, we got to think about something. First layer then comes at the level of upasana and worship of Bhagavan. That will make my mind more sattvic. That kind of worship of Bhagavan really opens me up to be more accepting, loving, kind, compassionate, all these things in that realm of the sattvic guna. Once that is done, the next layer is to go into this kind of vichara. These different frameworks I presented, going into them and thinking deeply, logically, with that calm mind, all the way to, it all goes back to the same thing. What is that ultimate source? Whether you come at it from the waking, dream, and deep sleep model, whether you come to it from the cause and effect model, whether you come to it from the Panchakosha model, seer and seen model, everything ends up in the same place, but these different ways of thinking deepen my desire. Now, let's be honest here. What's the trend I'm seeing for chicks on a national level? When the recommendation is given that, okay, let's go into the bhakti framework and develop that bhakti, the feedback always is, I don't feel that connection with Bhagavan. Hariji, you tell us to do puja, japa, not my thing, man, I can't do it. when it's given that, okay, let's get to the intellectual realm then, going to these different frameworks, let's make these intellectual machinations to go deeper and understand. That's boring, Hariji. Can't really go into it. We have to get over these hurdles, though. Because the framework is there of how growth is. We have to accommodate these into our psyche, into our practices. Both are completely necessary. Now, that bhakti portion does not have to be a 3-hour puja every day. Please don't think that it has to be a 3-hour puja every day. A simple chanting of your Ishtadevata. Something to build that connection. Now, I know where the insecurity lies. It's that our tongues don't turn in that way to really chant these things, or that connection with Bhagavan. It's not something we naturally have growing up in this country, in the day and age that we're in. I totally get that. That's why it has to be cultivated even more. Or else we try to divorce the ritual aspect from what the rest of the religion is at our detriment completely. That takes away any sense of discipline, that takes away process, that takes away any kind of comfort that is found from some familiarity of reliance on Bhagavan. And we say philosophically, that's what's going to take me through. When I find myself in deep pain, it's not going through Drigdrisha Viveka that's going to help me at that point. It's reliance on that Bhagavan. Conversely, for the intellectual aspect, I'm not a Hindu that really cares about all those things. I'm just, focused on being a good person. Okay, but we're in this trend of going to find that ultimate truth. Understanding has to be there. So both of these in equal measure, that is the way to go about it. Now, I want to start the group discussion portion a bit earlier today. I want you to have more time to speak about this. So we went through these various layers of, thinking frameworks and everything that we were looking at. All with that ultimate reason of understanding what is this home base that this mind ultimately rests on, even after flying around so much. This being the case, let's build a structure in this class of what is it you all need from me in order to make this understanding more consistent. Because the sadhana challenge that we've started nationally, in my mind, it was kind of a dud. Because I guess, I don't know if the approach was not the right way of doing it, or you guys just didn't feel invested in it, or you're too busy, whatever it is. It didn't go as I thought it would. So let's revisit that today. Today will be more process-oriented in a way that you can help me going through what is it that I can actually offer you as a brahmachari. Is it that there are more consistent videos on these frameworks of thinking to go deeper into it? Is it that there's a puja video that's made that you guys can watch for 15 minutes every morning as you do it yourself as well? Because the two things I want to accomplish from this conversation are that bhakti aspect plus this intellectual vichara that is done. Those both have to be there. How do we inculcate that together? What do you want me to give you for that? Everyone understand what I'm trying to get at? Every now and then I have to do a progress check like this where you tell me what you want and what you need. It's very arrogant for me to assume and say that you guys need this. That's not how I do it. All right, I need your guys' feedback on it. So again, two things. The bhakti portion, this framework understanding. What is it you need from me? What is it you'd like to see from the group to really gain that understanding as we move forward?